Christmas is out of the way, it's time to get back on the spanners. Fresh metal, just send it. Should have started with a smaller one. This spring gets in the way as well. Fingers crossed. That's a nightmare. Beige, not a great job. Rust, ropey, rust. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today you join me round the garage on a typically wet, miserable day here in England. I hope you all had an epic Christmas, but now Christmas is out of the way, it's time for me to get back on the spanners. My dad's Mk2 Escort is still on daily duties, and since the last time you saw the new project on the channel, I have been spending quite a bit of time on it, and you might see some fresh metal hanging on it at the moment. I'm not going to pull that car out of the garage because it is raining, so instead I'm turning my attention to Maude, my other Maude Mk2 Escort. I mentioned before that I fitted this Sparco Corsa into the driver's side. I wasn't overly happy with the way I did it, so I'm going to be redoing this one, but today I've been cracking on with the passenger seat. Now, I mentioned before that I ordered a set of these brackets, exactly the same as the ones that Gary gave me that are already attached to the Sparco Corsa. And because these were so cheap, and because there were other listings on eBay of the same brackets that were twice the price, I thought I was just buying one, but I was in fact buying a pair. Now, I've already made a start on today's job. I've got the runners here screwed to this bit of wood so that they're as far apart as they would be when they're in the car. And I've already got the new brackets attached to this Sparco Sprint that's going to be going in the passenger side of Maude. Now, I've been having a bit of a measure, and as it turns out, the gap between these two holes is 33.5 centimetres, and it's actually the same distance from here to this hole. This hole is oval, but I think I measured it, you know, the longest gap possible. Now, on these new brackets, the distance from the edge of the oval hole to the edge of the other oval hole is 33 centimetres. Now, what I did with the bucket seat that's already fitted to Maude is I basically started ovaling out the holes that are already on the brackets, and yeah, it turned into a right mess. So this time I'm actually going to try and drill a hole in a different position, in the right position, to bolt the brackets to the runners. One thing I learned with the other bucket seat is that I need to put the bucket seat as far back on the runners as I can. The Sparco Corsa that's in the driver's side of Maude at the moment, even with the runners on their furthest setting back, it's still a little bit too close to the steering wheel. It's really awkward to get in and out of the car. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do this so that, you know, I can get a few millimeters more space between the seat and the steering wheel. So what I've done, because the gap between the edge of this oval and this oval is 0.5 centimetre narrower than the gap between the centre of these holes, I've put a dot 1/4 centimetre out from the edge of this oval hole. And then what I've done is I've put another dot further this way, you know, so that I can get the seat back, you know, as far as I can go without risking breaking through to the edge of this. And it looks like it's just about far enough back that it's not going to break into the edge of this oval hole. So what I'm going to do now is drill out those holes. Should have started with a smaller one. Alright, so I've gone through with a 9mm drill bit. I'm going to be using M8 bolts, but you know, 1mm bigger will give me a bit of wiggle room. So yeah, now I think I'll bolt the seat to the runners, and then we'll look at doing the rear two holes. Although thinking about it, because I know that the gap between this hole and this hole is also 33.5 centimetres, I should just be able to measure 33.5 centimetres back. Let's just check that these are 33.5 centimetres or thereabouts from centre to centre. Yes, they are. Yeah, I think I'm just going to measure to there and just send it. It's going to be very, very close to the other oval. Looks like we just about got away with it. If it's accurate, that is. Let's do the same on the other side. Alright, so I've cleaned all the swarf off of these holes just so they're nice and flat. I use the flat wheel on a drill. Now the way that I had the old seats bolted to these rails is I had these bars going across like this, and then I had bolts going through these holes into the bottom of the seat. And I'm actually gonna still use these bars because I need to space these brackets up away from this mechanism here. And one thing that I learned on the seat that's currently fitted to Maude is that this spring gets in the way as well. So I'm going to pop that spring off of here, and then what I'll do is I'll actually drill a hole in the bracket to hang this spring on. So we'll deal with that afterwards. So this bar will go something like this, and then we'll use these dome-headed bolts from underneath because they won't get in the way of, you know, the rails. Something like that. I'll use a flat washer and a spring washer. The bolt should be long enough. Yeah, just about. That should be alright once I tighten it all down. Same the other side. Stick this bar in. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed when I took this apart that this bar was bent, so, you know, when I drilled this before, obviously didn't do it accurately, so I'm just going to bore this hole out just to give it a bit more adjustment. That'll do it. Alright, so this looks like it's going to work. The runners are still screwed to the wood, so they're as they need to be in the car, and the seat is now mounted to the runners. So I'm just going to undo the runners from that bit of wood and do all the nuts up, and then I'll tilt it back and reattach the spring. Alright, so this spring was hooked into this hole here, and then it attached, you know, in there. But I'm just going to drill a hole in this bracket here. I think we'll have it this way. Yeah, I just need to drill a hole there. Move the hole slightly down just so that it's under tension. Put it about there. Sweet. So in theory, this seat now should bolt straight into the passenger side of Maude. Fingers crossed. The way I've got it set at the moment is the front is on the second one from the bottom and the back is on the bottom one. And yeah, this seat is slightly further back than that one. So once I use the same method as I did to fit this one, to fit that one, it will be slightly further away from the steering wheel. I think I'm going to tackle the other seat another day off camera, but I want to send a massive thanks again out to my friend Gary for giving me those two seats for Maude. I really appreciate it. Alright, so while it's not raining, I think I'm going to turn my attention to Maude's engine for a bit. If you've been watching my videos, you'll know that I was messing around with jets in the bike carbs, but the ones that I've got in there now I think are too small. The problems I was having actually turned out to be a setting in the ECU. So yeah, I'm going to switch out the 150 jets that are in here now for some 175 jets that I think will be more in the region of what this engine's going to need. Now, it's a nightmare to change the jets on these carbs. You've got to get the float bowls off that are underneath here. So yeah, I'm going to remove the carbs from the inlet manifold, turn them upside down and switch the main jets over. And to remove the carbs, I just need to undo these Jubilee clips. I will need to disconnect the fuel pipe temporarily as well, but I'll be able to leave the cable attached because I'm just going to change the jets on here. I'll just put this bit of cardboard on there. I should have ran the car without the fuel pump on to empty the carbs, but never mind. Right, I'm going to let her warm up a bit. I'm going to fit the driver's side harness and then take her around the block. All right, I don't want to drive it for too long, but I'm pretty sure that the 175s are going to make the air-fuel ratio a bit closer to what it should be than what the 150s would have done. Just going to go to the garage and get some fuel in it. Definitely feels low on power, but hopefully that'll be improved when it goes on the dyno. Anyway, let's get back to the garage. Alright, so back at the garage, and the Cougans have passed through. I pulled the new project out to show the Cougans, so I may as well show you guys where I'm at as well. As you can see, the parcel shelf area is now beige. I've just rattle canned it. It's not a great job, but it is all going to be covered. The whole of the floor has been keyed up with scotch, and I've been grinding away the scabs of surface rust with a wire brush and a drill. Got some rust there right next to the patch that's been put in the past, and the same over here. They put a patch in here which looks really ropey, and there's now a hole just above it. I'm not sure if Chris at Clump Fab's going to cut that out and redo it, or maybe he'll just put a little patch there. And the same with over there. If he wants to cut it out, he can. The main really bad surface rust was on this bulkhead area. There was quite a bit up there. In fact, there was a tiny hole in the very corner, but it was really tiny, so I've just put sealer in it. There's quite a lot of surface rust up in that corner, which is the other side of the welding that they've done on the wing rails. But yeah, the bulkhead area has already been epoxy primered, and I've put a load of new sealer in the corners, and that yellow paint is just some filler primer that I had in my garage. Where the handbrake goes, there was quite a lot of surface rust, but yeah, that's been ground back with a wire brush and a drill and rust treated. But yeah, basically I've just keyed up the whole of the cockpit area. Any surface rust has been ground back with a wire brush on a drill. Anything that's really bad has been treated with this cure rust. And yeah, I'm about to spray over this cure rust with some epoxy primer. Alright, so that's all those patches covered in epoxy primer. Now the next stage is obviously going to be to paint the rest of the cabin beige. But before I do that, I need to plug my hoover into Rob's house and give the whole cabin a thorough hoover and a degrease. But yeah, I should be able to get this cabin in beige before it goes to Chris at Clump Fab. Another thing I've done since the last time you saw this car on the channel is I've gone round and sanded where the bare metal bits were on these doors, where they'd been prepping the 2-pack primer before, and yeah, I've covered those in epoxy primer. I've also dug out where the trim holes have been filled with filler. So yeah, I've decided that I'm going to get Chris at Clump Fab to actually weld these holes up. It's going to mean a little bit more bodywork's going to need to be done, but yeah, it is the proper way to do it. But yeah, I still need to do the same thing along here, and I still need to go around some of the other panels and get rid of the bare metal bits. There's a bit there. But yeah, this other rear door I've already done. And yeah, this rear door actually had quite a thick layer of 2-pack primer on it. But yeah, that'll all be feathered back eventually. But yeah, I just wanted to dig it out where the actual filler is. Just need to poke out the bits that are poking through. But yeah, I'm pretty sure next time you see this car on the channel, I will be painting the rest of the cockpit beige, and I can't wait to see what she's going to look like then. You'll notice that this car now has a set of front wings. They're just hanging on at the moment. I've got these from Escort Tec, which is the same company that I got the front wings and the other panels for Maude when I've done her front end. And yeah, I've done a little bit of fettling to get them to fit a bit better. There was a bit under there that needed to be shaved off so that the wing went down. But yeah, they're not anywhere near perfect, but they are really decent pattern panels. I think they're Magnum panels. I've also bought the RS strengthening panels. So you've got these ones that sit on top here. The one for the other side is actually away, having the chassis number stamped in it. And then you've got these bits. These bits basically weld on there, and they tie in the spring cup to the wing rail. And yeah, you can really notice the difference in terms of the stiffness of the front end when you've got these and these welded on. So yeah, well worth doing, especially if you are replacing your front wings. And yeah, Escort Tec actually done me a really good deal on them panels. They've got loads of Magnum panels in stock and ready to send out, so I'll leave a link to their website in the description of this video. Definitely get in touch with them if you need any panels or any other bits. They've got loads and loads of Escort bits in stock. But yeah, definitely really cool seeing this car looking like an Escort again with the front wings fitted. I will be getting these made to be bolt on, the same as what Chris did with Maude. Now, I'm fast running out of light, so I'm going to pack up and go home. But there is something I want to do to Maude that involves a handbrake, which should improve things in terms of drifting. So I'm going to crack on with this at home, so I'll continue this video then. See you in a sec. All right, so back at home, and what I've got here is a fly-off handbrake conversion kit. And as the name suggests, what this kit does is convert your standard handbrake into a fly-off handbrake. So normally when you pull your handbrake up, it locks and then you press the button to release it. And what this kit does is basically make it work the other way round. So when you pull the handbrake up, it will fall back down on its own. And then if you want it to lock, you press the button. Now I've had a quick look online and it seems like this piece here replaces this bit here, which is the bit that releases when you press the button. And if I look in there, I can see a rod. So this is obviously to replace that. And I'm guessing that this is to replace this rivet that's holding that piece on, which I obviously need to drill out. And there's also this little clip in the kit, which I'm not sure what that's for yet. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do first is drill this rivet out. And I think I'll take it outside to do that to save making any unnecessary mess in the living room. All right, well, that was a bit of a mission because I was using a blunt drill bit, but got it done. And now it looks like this bit wants to come out the end. And there's the rod and the button on the end, and it's got a spring on it, which I'm guessing I'm going to have to transfer over to the new rod. Not sure how this button comes off, and there isn't a new one in the kit. Yeah, now this piece here is able to fall up. So I'm guessing that this spring will go on like this. Then we need to figure out how these bits go in. I'm guessing that hooks onto there, possibly. So maybe. And the old one was in like that. This rod's got like a bit of a kink in it. It must go that way because it's not going to fit in there that way. So if that's like that, and we assume that this hole is for it to hook onto, I think that's the only way it can go. That must be it. And then when you push the button, it locks this into there. Looks like it'll work. I do need to figure out how to get this off. It looks like it's just pressed on there. There's definitely no clip in there. The rod is wider on the inside, so it must have to come off this way. It's loosening. Is it just going to break? It's rotating now. Yes. Right, so the spring has to go in first. Right, I've taken this grip off, and it looks like I'm able to get this rod pushed further. So now I just need to get the clip on here. 100% sure if that's how it's supposed to be. Maybe that clip's supposed to be on the inside. Nah, then the button will still be able to come off. Anyway, put this pin in. And put the nut on, and I think I've done it. Well, that doesn't work. It's a live handbrake, but pushing the button doesn't make it lock. Oh, it kind of does, but maybe this is too far sticking out. Alright, so I've been messing about with this off camera, and I'm pretty sure that this is all together how it should be. I've got the nut on the back of that pin now. So yeah, you know, the handbrake is free to move up and down. I haven't got the spring attached at the end. When that spring's attached, it will pull this off, so it will move freely. And then if you was to pull it up and push the button, then it will lock in place. But the problem is, without the spring hooked up, it doesn't really free itself. It does if you sort of pull it up, and then it'll work. But for instance, if you got to the top and then pressed it to lock it, and then lift it up, it gets stuck. So I don't know if, you know, the idea is that you don't ever need to get up to the top, so you have the cable tight enough so that, you know, you pull your handbrake up to there and sort of lock it on, and then when you want to release it, you just pull it up slightly and it goes. But, you know, with the spring in there, that's going to mean that it will pull away when you want it to. So I think it will work a lot better when I've got the spring in here. And the spring just goes on like that, and then you've got the button that goes on. But I need to work out a better way of connecting this rod to this button, because this clip isn't doing the job. Yeah, it's just pinging off after a while. So I don't know if maybe I should drill a hole in the side of this and a small hole in the rod, and then maybe I can put a pin through, and then I think it'll work properly. Now, I am going to be going back around the garage tomorrow, and I reckon I'll be able to figure out a better way of attaching that button to the rod, but you'll be able to see that in the next video. Before I go, I want to send another massive thanks out to Gary for giving me those seats for Maude. Really, really glad that I've got those fitted, although I still do need to redo the driver's seat. So if you thought this video was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media and my website. I'll also leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me. Massive thanks, as always, for your continued support of my channel. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.